So is it starting? What do I mean by that? What do I think caused the around 60% recovery when it comes to ICP in the past week alone? And also, what has caused the almost 14% movement in just the past 24 hours? In today's video, I'm going to try to break that down to the best of my capabilities. And even though nothing I say is financial advice, and even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything, what I think might have caused this is some people sometimes finally realizing just the fundamentals of the internet computer. More specifically, I think something that played quite a big role in this could also be, to a certain extent, at least trying to achieve Mission 70. What is that? Mission 70 is this strategic plan to cut ICP inflation by up to 70% by the end of this year. So far, I saw a statistic indicating that they were like almost halfway there, basically. So far, again, they've almost, I guess, somewhat succeeded at doing that when it comes to, I guess this. So when it comes to Dfinity, they've been doing things. Keep in mind as well, when it comes to this altcoin space, actually, ICP has greatly outperformed the altcoin space as of right now in terms of the altcoin market in general. But again, some people like to say, well, it might not be just caused because of Mission 70 alone. Okay, granted, there could be also a lot of other factors, but that's just kind of what I'm more so leaning towards. In a second sense, the way I take a look at it is also that it could have been caused through the realization of the internet computer having this heavy emphasis towards decentralized AI, and also taking a look at Caffeine AI version 3. Caffeine AI is self-writing apps platform, and also OEC version 2. I think that was like a culmination, combined with Bitcoin being at around 80 grand and ICP being so low for quite a while. I think that kind of created this perfect storm where, it's like when you put a ball, let's say like, a soccer ball, right? You put it below a swimming pool, and then suddenly when you let go, it goes up like that. That's just sometimes the way you take a look at it. And the timing of this, I would have never known the exact timing. The reason why is because I can't control the market. The entire time I've been waiting, staying patient, and that was it. Now, granted, does ICP still have a ways to go? Absolutely. But at the same time, remember when I was talking about ICP back then, even when it was well below $3, also when it was below $2.50, at around $2 even. I just simply didn't want to give up. Now, I could, I guess, I didn't have to believe in this, but I wanted to though, because I just felt like, okay, at that time, ICP was well below $2.50. I thought to myself, the internet computer, very focused on decentralized AI. AI is a big narrative when it comes to stocks. What happens if it comes to this space, right? That sentiment and that really big narrative when it comes to AI. The internet computer is kind of waiting right there, arguably. But I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but this is just the way I view it. Being at almost $3.60, basically, we're still over 2 times lower than where we were back in November 2025, in which was around $9. So again, there's still a lot more to do when it comes to ICP, maybe, arguably. But at the same time, we have to consider, back in 2024, ICP reached almost $19. So we're still 5 times lower than that. The thing is, I don't think when ICP was almost $19, I don't think that was even an altcoin season. So I think it kind of showcased how when ICP basically reached, right, a new all-time low back in October of 2025, that was just very surprising to me, because I think it kind of showcased like, whoa, really? The market thought that sort of low when it comes to ICP, but then now we're kind of beginning to see the hypothetical sort of recovery a little bit. Now, who knows how long it's going to last, because we haven't seen a broader change in market sentiment. But I think this right here kind of showcases that, sometimes these altcoins, who knows, right? They could just randomly do things sometimes when I least expect them to do so. So that's why I'm not trying to guess. I'm just trying to wait and anticipate that's it, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. But that's just one of the reasons why I've still been holding this entire time. Keep in mind as well, right? When it comes to the internet computer, I think something very massive that happened is also kind of this advent, right? This sort of concept of cloud engines. And of course, we recently saw the Pakistan Digital Authority and the partnership that they had, right, when it comes to Dfinity, and also them, launching basically the first cloud engine. I think that could have also maybe, affected somewhat of the sentiment when it comes to the internet computer. And I even made a video on that. So yeah, when I take a look at the internet computer, I can't really say I'm so surprised, because Just take a look at my previous videos when it comes to ICP. I was still just staying patient, waiting, and that's it. And I think that kind of showcases that within this space, sometimes people kind of consider that, oh, ICP is cooked and all this until the sentiment changes. As quickly as sometimes things go down when it comes to this space, we sometimes see it equally move as fast in the opposite direction. This is a different market than the S&P 500. It's a different market than gold, than silver and all this. Sometimes, like for other markets, I'm not saying anything in particular, but for some other markets, like around a 60% movement in the past 7 days, that would take sometimes years in some other markets. In this case alone, we just see that from ICP. In which case, all I'm doing is just taking a look at the charts, right? I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but that's just what I noticed from the charts. Not to mention, what is a narrative that Dfinity has been kind of pushing as of late? Or for quite a while, I should say now. It is the idea of things running fully on chain, in which case, some other projects out there, they just can't run things fully on chain. The reason being is because it requires a lot of computational demand, in which case, again, some other competitors out there, they're just not built for that. But the internet computer, it was kind of built from the ground up to handle that. And I've been saying this whole time, what happens if that narrative when it comes to things running fully on chain becomes a narrative? The internet computer is kind of waiting right there again, because I would arguably say it's kind of like one of the pioneers within that space, right? Let's also take this into consideration. The internet computer, I think, is kind of designed in a way that it doesn't, I guess, prevent certain developers from trying to build things. Case in point, if we take a look at Caffeine AI, of course, it made it way more simple, right, for developers out there to, I guess, launch apps and stuff like that. But we also have to take a look at it. If, let's say, a developer does not want to use Caffeine AI, which again is a self-writing apps platform, basically, it's like a developer could use that, or even I could use that, and it's just kind of using AI to help build apps, right? But if we take a look at it just more so from a traditional sense when it comes to ICP, we'll see that, for instance, ICP supports multiple programming languages. Like, for instance, Motoko, of course, we know it's a language that has been designed by Dfinity, but we have to take a look at supported through Canister development kits. There's TypeScript, Python, C++, Solidity, and JavaScript. And of course, if we take a look at that right there, that allows for a lot more developers to even enter the internet computer, in a sense where it allows for them to actually build things without having to go through like other projects out there that force just a certain programming language. Granted, though, people like to say, why bother with all this type of stuff if there's Caffeine AI? Granted, that's true, but some developers may not prefer that. In which case, if they don't, supported through Canister development kits, there's many programming languages that is supported. So it doesn't kind of lock a certain amount of developers in, and then the other ones can't really do anything like that. It just doesn't feel like that to me, in a sense where people don't have to learn Motoko, right, to build on the internet computer. Some other projects out there, they kind of force their own programming language, which I think sometimes is a little bit counterintuitive, because some of these developers out there, they've spent years mastering, right, JavaScript, Python, C++. They just sometimes don't want to switch. So again, I think that right there was a pretty smart move as well. But of course, I'll keep everyone updated as to what goes on when it comes to ICP moving forward. So hopefully y'all stay tuned for that. I want to say thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.